Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our topic is Good Timber by Douglas Malloy. Objectives are students will be able to annotate while reading the poem, write theme of the poem, recognize literary techniques such as personification. Who was Douglas Malloy? Douglas Malloy, May 5, 1877 to 2nd July 1938, was an American poet, short story writer known as the lumberman's poet. What is meant by lumberman? A person who fell trees, cut them into logs or transport them to a sawmill. That person is called lumberman. And why he is called as a lumberman's poet? Malloy lived in Michigan where he grew up amongst logging camps and lumberyards. He wrote his first published poem when he was still a boy. He is noted for writing Round River Drive and Be the Best of Whatever You Are, in addition to many other creations. What is timber? Timber is the word used for building or for other engineering purposes. Wood, one of the best engineering materials, used in almost all fields of engineering, used by man since prehistoric times. Common applications of timber are building construction, railways, agricultural, mining, and navigation industries. What makes timber a construction material? The natural purpose of wood is to provide a framework which supports the foliage and fruits of the tree, and which is resistant to lateral wind forces and gravity loads. These natural structural properties make it an ideal construction material. 7 life lessons we can learn from trees, and I want to share all these 7 lessons with you people so that you will start learning these lessons from the trees right from today. Number 1 lesson is what starts as a small seed can turn into a canopy of reality. What is meant by canopy? The uppermost branches of the trees in a forest, forming a more or less continuous layers of foliage. Trees start incredibly small. The California coast redwood, the tallest tree in the world, begins as a seed that is a mere inch or two in size. These small, seemingly worthless seeds that fall to the ground in troops are the very seeds that may one day tower above the rest of humanity and creation, outlasting even the strongest of nations. And the life lesson is the small things are the big things because the big things come from the small things. The tallest tree of the world comes out of the tiniest seed. We are being trained and conditioned to only want the biggest and the best, which is not only impractical, it is also unhelpful. The small decisions you make and the small steps you take add up over the days, weeks, months, and years that pass, all culminating in the life you live and the legacy you leave. The second lesson is growing slow and steady is what allows for steadfastness in the storms. Coast redwoods are among the fastest growing trees in the world, and it is also the tallest tree of the world, growing 3 to 10 feet each year. That means if it trees to reach the towering heights of 200 to 300 feet, it will need at least 100 years. Most trees grow a few feet on average each year. Can you imagine if trees were impatient? Life lesson is slow and steady wins the race. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. What is the difference between a marathon and a sprint? Sprint is a short distance where you run as fast as you can reach the end goal as fast as possible, while a marathon you keep pace as it is much longer and you will need all the energy you can save in order to win the marathon. Trees know that they are in it for the long run. They don't believe in the short term gratification. They don't believe in the short term satisfaction, pleasure, nonsense. They simply and patiently grow year by year, pushing upward and onward. There are no shortcuts to growing a tree. You can't manufacture a massive tree overnight, just as much as you can't accomplish anything worthwhile in a day. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10. Bill Gates. Be committed to the long game. Got it? The third lesson which we are learning is building our foundation is what allows us to build our influence. When a seed germinates, start the growing process. Its first step is growing a tiny root downward to hold it in place and facilitate further growth by drawing in more water from the soil. The first step, what a seed does is growing a tiny root downward to hold it in place. A tree's roots serve many important functions. Anchoring the tree. What does anchoring mean? Anchoring means holding or fix the tree. Supplying water and soil nutrients for the rest of the tree's body, as well as helping hold the soil in place, keeping it from eroding or washing away. Life lesson is, in order for growth to be helpful, you must grow internally before you can grow externally. Notice the order of growth in trees. It is always growing down before it is growing up. Trees know that without a sturdy foundation, without a strong foundation, any growth that occurs above ground is more harmful than it is helpful. Height without depth is a dangerous equation and a recipe for a major fall. What we achieve inwardly will change outer reality. We must take the time to grow internally before we can truly be helpful to those around us. We must build a firm foundation for our own lives before we can be a rope of support to others in our life. We must develop discipline and integrity, cultivating character before others can or should look to you for guidance. You must lead yourself well before you can lead others well. First of all, try to inculcate good values, good moral values in your personality, and then be a leader. Build the foundation of your personality. This is the third lesson which we learn from the trees. The fourth lesson which we learn from the trees is seasons of ebb and flow actually help us grow resilience. What is meant by ebb and flow? A recurrent pattern of coming and going or decline and regrowth is called ebb and flow. the ups and downs of our life. Resilience means the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. That is called resilience. Trees are amazingly resistant, but this resistance comes from opposition. When scientists created a biotome, an optimal environment for human, plant, and animal life, they were shocked when trees started toppling over after reaching a certain height. The scientists realized that the element they forgot to include in the biodome was wind. They forgot to include wind in that biodome. That's why the trees started toppling over. Because wind is one of the key factors that cause roots to grow deeper and stronger. A strong trunk is developed in response to the opposition of the wind. And what life lesson we are getting from it? Opposition or resistance is needed for growth to occur. Just as with trees, we need the wind to blow in our life. The trials and hardships we face are what forces us to become strong and capable to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. As a human being, just as much as the wind forces a tree to grow sturdier trunks, to grow strong trunks. Change and consistency are the two balancing weights of the seesaw of human experience. The ebbs and the flows of life are a good thing. Pruning is usually a good thing. Trees benefit from pruning. Pruning is cutting off certain branches for the benefit of the tree as a whole. This helps maintain the natural tree form and stimulate the growth. Life lesson is saying no to the lesser things helps us say yes to the best things. Pruning should be a continual process in our own lives. As we live, we accumulate more and more of anything and everything. The more you have, the more unclear it is what you actually want. We must learn what to say no to in order to be able to say yes to the things of greatest worth. Accumulation happens naturally, it's our natural habit, but simplification happens intentionally. So be very simplified. Number six lesson is growth is a lifelong process. Trees never stop growing. They are literally growing till the day they die. In fact, trees actually grow faster the older they become. While this growth may stop taking place in height, trees will continue growing in girth their entire lives. Life lesson is growth can be achieved our entire lives even if it looks different in different stages. Much like trees, we should never stop growing, even though we will stop growing physically and actually start decaying. We can still grow inwardly, emotionally, intellectually, and experientially. Being a lifelong grower is a worthy goal to have, whether you are a tree or a human. When you cease to make a contribution, you begin to die. When you stop to make a contribution, you begin to die. So, growth is a lifelong process which we learn from the trees. And the seventh lesson is everything has been designed with intention for a reason. Trees are a vital part of Earth, the planet in which we reside, in which we are living. They play a major role in the production of oxygen and in cleaning up the carbon dioxide in the air. They provide delicious fruit for us to eat, natural shade from the piercing sun, strong sun, a canopy and residence for many animals and creatures to live in on. and ultimately they provide the building material for a plethora of products. What is meant by plethora? Plethora means a very large amount of something. Materials for a plethora of products, structures and aspects of modern life. Trees have been created for a purpose, and just like trees, we too have been made for a reason. And the life lesson is we have been created for a purpose, given inherent worth and value that cannot be taken away. The chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Like trees, we have both a general overreaching purpose as well as a specific individual purposes. Finding the specific applications of your purpose is the work we are tasked with, the work of self-awareness. We can learn a lot from trees. They are always grounded but never stop reaching heavenwards. Try to be humble and grounded like the trees, but never stop reaching heavenward.
Good Timber by Douglas Malone. We that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain. Never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees, the further sky, the greater land, the more the strong, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest road, we find the patriarchs of old, and they hold counsel with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life.
This is a poem that addresses the law of nature. No one can go against it. The poet has used metaphorical language, the language which contains metaphors. Metaphor means an expression often found in literature that describes a person or object by referring to something that is considered to have similar characteristics to that person or object, to depict the similarities between man and other creations of nature. The first part of the poem shares this impact. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. A pine tree that stood well beyond the oak tree, it was no longer an evergreen, it was dead, scrubby, and frail. What is meant by scrubby? Inferior in size or quality. Frail means weak and just out in the open. It was now an ever brown. I wondered what happened to it. It had been struck by lightning, that is why it was dead. As I began to think about it, I realized how often in life adversity and conflict, adversity means problems and difficulties, and conflict might sneak up on us. You know the hidden surprises of life. Sometimes one crisis moment can debilitate us. What does debilitate means? To make someone or something physically weak, like an evergreen left in the open. One lightning bolt can end our story. If we haven't conditioned ourselves to fight through the adversity, we will turn ever brown. But here is another thing about evergreens and everbrowns. They usually don't have very deep or strong roots, at least not like the mighty oak, and an oak tree, while not perfect, it is still beautiful. The key is it fights to be resourced before the storms hit because it has strong roots. and it is one of the lessons which we learn from the trees. The choice to make an impact. The second part of the poem adds more insight. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man but lived and died as he began. A man who never had to farm or go out and win his share of sun and sky, this is a man without a mission. And a man without mission is a man without meaning, who has little desire to make an impact. And one of the lessons which we learn from the tree is that everyone should have a mission in his life because everyone is designed for a purpose. Man is born in this world with the goal to discover his mission. The mission is unknown when he first arrives, but if he goes out in this world to explore and seeks it, he will definitely find it. Got it? Part 3, the choice to never give up. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The farther sky, the greater land. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. The first line in this stanza was the line that had grabbed my attention earlier. The mighty oak tree at had weathered many storms, including a few hurricanes. It had strong roots, despite its placement on a hill more worthy for snow sliding than where you would want to have a picnic. Adversity and conflict comes at us hard and fast. We can let adversity and conflict either cripple us, either what is meant by cripple? A person who cannot use their arms or legs in a normal way. Either we let adversity and conflict to make us cripple or to make us stronger. It is up to us, and it is our mindset that sets the tone. It builds our roots, it grips the ground. Think of grip as an acrostic. What is meant by acrostic? A poem, word puzzle, or other composition in which certain letters in each line form a word or words. For example, grip, G, grow, R, readiness, I, inspired, P, passionate. If we are willing to continually grow, willing to stay ready, willing to be inspired by life around us, and even if it is chaos, and we stay passionate, then we will have what it takes to be strong timber. That ultimately is making the choice to never give up. And this is also the lesson which we learned from the trees. Part 4th, the choice to make connections. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both, and they hold counsel with the stars whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life. What is meant by patriarchs? Patriarchs mean the oldest and strong branches of both. Council means they are meeting with the stars. Strife means conflict. Strife means conflict. We can't go through life untouched. We will have some broken branches, some battle scars, and we will face some pain and deal with some strife. Strife means some conflict. But we can persevere, and at the end of the day, persevere means to try to do or continue doing something in a determined way if we will not give up. And at the end of the day, hold counsel with the stars. This mindset allows us work through the struggle so that we can realize success with others Others who also learn to endure, who also learn to bear it. Ultimately, becoming a stronger you is making the choice to connect with others who are like minded or have been where you want to go. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The farther sky, the greater land. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. We have returned to the tree and once again to Mel Melloch's belief that the harder the growing circumstances, the taller it will grow. He tells us at the end of the stanza that this is also true of men. I am not sure I have ever read a poem that is simpler than this one. There is no other poem besides haters going to hate and trees going to grow taller because of it. So never give up your mission, never give up your hope, never give up your struggle. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both, and they hold counsel with the stars whose broken branches show the scars of many events and much of strife. This is the common law of life. Melot introduces a new set of images here, bringing stars into the equation, although he does mention the sky previously. Now, however, it is night and the forest king and the manly man have both grown so strong and so tall, despite the scars on their branches and arms, that they are conferring with the very stars. They are meeting with the very stars. These patriarchs are talking to the heavens. These old branches are talking to the heavens. They have reached celestial status. Celestial means of or from the sky. Celestial means of or from the sky. For example, the moon is a celestial body. They have struggled, they have succeeded, and they have made it to godly heights. And in Melloch's view, the ability to overcome odds with hard work is a universal truth. I don't know about you, but at the end of the day, I want to be able to hold counsel with the stars. I don't want to be the lonely pine. I want to be the might oak tree making a difference for others and with other oak trees. Storms are what destroy us if we do not make the necessary choices. It is giving up in the midst of storms that destroy us. However, if we grow our roots deep to get resource, if we choose to make an impact, if we persevere despite the adversity, if we remain steadfast despite the adversity, despite all difficulties, and if we work to connect with others, we can achieve anything. Remember, good timber does not grow with age. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. Putting common injustices and inequalities to one side for the moment, Melloch seems to be expressing what seemed for him a universal truth, that adversity, struggle, and hard work makes you a stronger person, a king or queen of the forest. He seems to be saying that those who fully strive will eventually hold counsel with the stars. It's too beautiful. What makes the difference here is you. It will be your own effort, your own dedication, and your own will to succeed that will determine your results. If you do not do the work necessary and do not dedicate yourself to achieving your goal, you will say exactly what you are. Your success will be your success, earned by and worked for by you. Got it? This is the whole essence of this poem. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.